actually entered some SPY here on a nice breakout. We're staying here off. If I can capture a trade and I take a 10% L, then that means on the next trade, I cannot just capture for a 10% gain because then it would just be break even. So I'm in one NVIDIA here. NVIDIA calls $43 trade. I'm gonna go in for $300 entry, 30% price target, 10% stop loss. So risk to reward ratio of 1 to 3. Here's 30 minutes on SPY. Nice breakout of Friday's highs now, but you have to learn and build good habits. So when I first started trading, I would collect 10% all the time. Monday and welcome back to the stock market. Market is open. It's currently 7:16 a.m. an hour or less than an hour into the market, and I'm gonna show you guys what it's like to day trade the market. I'm gonna trade the market for you guys, and let me show you guys and give you guys some insight for what I'm looking at, what I believe the market will do here soon, because part one already went in our favor. Of course, here's SPY on the hourly time frame. Now we already pre-charted, gave all our levels in the trade ideas tab, as you guys can see. Now we did talk a lot in it, but a lot of trade ideas have been dropped since yesterday. A lot of ideas. Same thing in my own signals tab right here. You guys can see that I posted my ideas and my levels for SPY. So here's SPY on the hourly time frame. Now, what I do expect, and it already happened for phase one, or at least part one of what I'm expecting, is the fact that this is Friday's lows right here. We're below Friday's lows. So I'm not going to take calls here just because we need to get above Friday's lows before I actually enter and become bullish. Because what can happen is easily this could just be a retest, which is what I expected. And I even mentioned in the Discord, before I enter more downside, going to see a SPY can come for a pullback to the upside before more downside. And that's exactly what happened. We got the nice pullback to the upside. And now it potentially looks like it might reject here. So we're going to wait for a rejection, and we're going to take puts below pre-market low 575 to be exact, all the way down to the next level. So sorry if I talk a little bit different. I do have basically a lisp now since they took out 2 of my teeth, and so my tongue just rests a little bit weird now whenever I say the S's and the H's. But anyways, guys, now I hope you guys have been killing it. My plan for this week is to go in for $300 every single entry, take about 3 trades a day, so $900 total, and try to capture a 30% return on each single trade, so about $100 gain each single trade. So if I take 3 trades and all 3 of those trades hit, it will be a $300 day. Let's see what we can catch, and I hope you guys have been killing it. 30% price target, 10% stop loss, so risk to reward ratio of 1 to 3. Because so far, what I'm trying to teach one of my members in here is the fact that he said he sold too early and he keeps selling too early. Now, you guys remember a couple months ago, that was my issue too. And I just told him that on the next trade, try to hold for an extra 5 to 10%. He collected 10%, but it went up to 30, 40, 50%. So I told him to do his best on the next trade. If you do take another trade, just try to hold it for an extra 10. See if you can do that. Worst case scenario, you collect, worst case scenario, it pumps up to 10, 12, 15%, and it pulls all the way back to break even, and you just sell it for either break even or small loss. But you have to learn and build good habits. When I first started trading, I would collect 10% all the time, but then I would take a 10% loss. So it was just eating up what I would make. But now I make sure that I try to collect over 10, 20, 30% and take a small loss. It's getting a little bit bullish here. Let me show you guys the 30 minutes on SPY, which closes in 9 minutes. But you guys can see we're still below Friday's lows, which is very important because we haven't got above yet. But if we do get above, then I will take calls here and try to price target that Fibonacci retracement level. Now you guys can see we just been building a base here, hovering above pre-market low, just chopping around. So market's very choppy. We got to be very careful. But that's the trade setup I'm going to take, especially if market can get very bullish, like Apple is going crazy here, QQ. If AMD and NVIDIA can start going bullish, then I probably will take some SPY calls above that resistance. We got the fat breakout to the upside on the hourly time frame, 30 minutes close here. Now I should have probably entered in when I mentioned that I could probably enter in early. But now here's SPY on the 5 minutes. I'm going to capture a retest once it dips down real hard. Contracts went from 240 to 280, so they're already up $40. And if this thing comes down to test this 579 level, then I'm in, guys. In for sure. You guys trying to go bullish here. SPY is finally above this Friday's highs. Market is going very strong. Now I missed SPY, so what I am gonna do is I'm gonna take some NVIDIA here. So I'm in one NVIDIA here for 133 call for 288, 285 a piece. Price target, first price target is 134.33. Stop loss is 132.30. So 30-cent stop loss with a $2 price target, and I even have a more higher price target all the way to 137. Now NVIDIA is squeezing here on the 15-minute time frame. You guys can see it is a little bit of a risky trade since market's going a little bit, it's a little bit ugly price action, but here we are trying to break to the upside. So if we can break to the upside and squeeze on NVIDIA, then NVIDIA should pay us out pretty nicely. Some stocks are pulling back here, like Apple hit the resistance, currently down only 7%, which is $20. And we're actually almost a stop loss, only 10 cents away. So our stop loss is probably going to only be about 10% L, which is very small compared to the reward that we would have gained if we would have exited at a nice trade. Currently around stop loss, almost at 9 EMA. Exited NVIDIA for a $28 loss, which is only a 10% cut on my end since I entered for 280, sold them at 257. SPY and everything else trying to bounce here, but that NVIDIA is the only one that's still chopping and went a little bit sideways, never got the actual break. So that kind of was my fault, $28 lesson, but it is what it is. And we still are eyeing some, might enter some SPY here to be honest. SPY might be the only one since the NVIDIA is pulling back here pretty hard. We entered some SPY here on a nice breakout. Instead, we saw a nice 10%. They're currently at 2% now. And SPY looks a lot more promising than NVIDIA. So this is going to be our second trade of the day. First trade was only down $28. So this next trade, again, same type of setup, in for 280 exactly, or 290. So 10% stop is going to be a $29 loss, or a 10%, 20, 30% gain can be a nice $75 gain. So here's 30 minutes on SPY. Nice breakout of Friday's highs. Now we did get a nice pullback on the 5 minutes and already did hold itself. So we're going to do our best to try to hold on this one too. And we got these contracts for 292, and mind you, they did hit 320. And we're still in them, trying to do our best to hold. It break even, and now we're finally back profits on the day, but we still need more, guys. I'm gonna try to shoot for a nice 30% gain on this trade because we just took a 10% loss, so now we're at break even since we're up 10%, but now we need to shoot for 30% gains to put us well above over, and for this to be a nice risk to reward ratio, because I can sell here and collect for a small $1 gain, but that's no point because this is a trade setup that I'm trying to take, and the risk to reward ratio, the entry is real nice, so I have every reason to hold and collect a nice gain on this one. Here we are at 10%, $30 on this trade. We need more though. All nice 12%, currently at 5%, and I'm doing my best to try to show our member that, guys, this is what you got to do to try your best to hold. Even though I took a 10% L on the first trade, I could have took a 12% gain on this trade right here, currently at 5%. And the reason why I don't exit is because if I do that and I take another trade and it does a 10% L again, I'll be back to negative on the day. So I need to collect a 30 to 40% gain on this trade in order for me to be a lot higher than my losses and for me to secure a good gain on a single trade setup. This is how you do your absolute best to try to hold for some more gains, guys. So here they are. Currently it came back to break even, but again, I'm gonna do my absolute best to try to hold, watching the price action, and my stop loss is at 9 EMA. So even if it hits me for stop loss, I'll just be down about like $30 to $40 on the day. But if I hit and this price target hits, then I'll be up a nice $50 to $60, $80 on this trade. Back to 5% profits here, guys. Look at that nice bounce on the 9 EMA. I moved my stop loss to the 9 EMA because market likes to bounce there, and it's exactly what's going on. It's bounced on the 9 EMA, and so far it looks like we might get a potential push here as long as that candle closes very strong. If this candle gets a long way to the upside, then we might just have to exit because that will indicate that sellers are definitely stepping in. We're staying here off NVIDIA calls, $43 trade off a single entry, and we're still gonna look for more, guys. That's what we're looking for. Look at that nice break. That's exactly what we're waiting for. Doing our best again, guys, to hold, even though it did pull up here pretty nicely. Man, I'm trying to do my best. 15%, now we're back at 7%. Trying my best to hold, man. These contracts currently came back again to break even. Currently at 293, I got in at 292. Let me pull up my thing to show what we're at. Went from a nice 10% to now we're back down 2%. 15 minutes looks pretty scary. I'm not even gonna lie. Guys, what's going on here? Shit's going sideways. I'm about to get chopped out of my contracts. Good thing they're next day contracts, so they don't affect me that bad. 4% cut on that one. So now I'm down $42 on the day total. $28 loss on NVIDIA, $14 loss on SPY. You guys can see here, it did pull back here below that stop loss. Now market is looking pretty weak after that straight chop, guys. I mean, come on, man. Look at this chop on the 5 minutes. That's major chop. So I decided just to exit. We did see a nice gain on these ones, but we kept letting it pull back to break even and sold for 4% L on this one. 2 trades today. Don't plan on actually taking any other trades since we are only down $40, and I don't want to make that any worse, especially on a day like this, guys. You just never know what's going to happen, and so far, it's a lot of fake outs. Lots of choppiness. You got to be very careful on days like these. Currently, I took 2 trades, and I got wrecked on both of them. My first trade was at 10 a.m. 20 minutes later, sold it for $257. From 2 to 285, $20 L there. Next trade at 10:29 a.m. So almost a whole hour hold, and we sold for a small $14 loss. So we can take one more trade, but I don't want to make what I already done worse because right now we're 2 for 2 losses. Take another trade, 3 for 3, be even a worse day. It's Monday. Don't see any other trade setups. So most likely we'll just wrap it up here. Gonna edit the vlog as well. Plus there's only an hour and 30 minutes into the market. So let's just wrap it up and call it good there. So we took 2 trades today. Now, honestly, on the first trade, it was a little bit of an early entry. So we probably shouldn't have taken that trade, but we did call out both of these trade call outs. Now, I did call out NVIDIA for a small 10% L, unfortunately, and then we called out these SPY calls here for a small 4% loss. So today is a $40 L on the day, and we tried our absolute best, guys, to hold our second trade as best as we can for some more gains. Now, we did see a nice 15%, but of course, you guys heard me say I want to try to hold for a 30% gainer, because the whole point is this. If I can capture a trade and I take a 10% L, then that means on the next trade, I cannot just capture for a 10% gain, because then it would just be break even, or I would be having a tug of war with myself trying to capture what I just lost, compared to if I make 2 good 10% trades. Pretty much if I take 2 10% gain trades and I take 2 10% losses, I'll just be at break even every single time. So what I have to do, guys, is try to shoot for a 10% stop loss to a 30% price target, a 1-to-3 ratio, which is very good, because that means, for an example, if I were to take another trade, which I don't plan on to, but it actually went in my favor, that means that if I were to collect a 30% gain on my next trade, then that one will put me and recover all my losses and some more. That is how my mind thinks, and that is how we got to think as traders, because most people, especially when you first start, you kind of just start out with a portfolio and you end up just trading whatever you believe you can go in for. If you have $500 or $1,000 into your account, you might just go in for a random number and just not even figure out a plan of how much you want to actually gain on a single entry, compared to how much you need to return, compared to how much you're willing to lose. So in this case, guys, we took 2 small L's. We're gonna wrap it up there. Basically, it's noon. Hope you guys had an awesome Monday. Even though we took 2 L's, it was a very fun day. I love entering trades and trying my best to hold. It's always a new challenge. Now, if this one would have hit 30%, I would have been very happy, of course, because that one would have put us well above over $40, $50 on the day, which is what I'm trying to do. So let's wrap it up and try to do that again for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're gonna do the same thing. Try our best to hold for a nice gain. Even if the first trade put us down 10, 20%, we're gonna do our best to treat every single new trade like it's a new trade, because that's what it is. So I hope you guys can learn from my mistakes, and I hope you guys can learn as far as learning to hold a lot longer. If your issue is holding a lot longer, then that just means on the next trade, tell yourself you're gonna hold for 5 to 10 to 15% extra more. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.